her face, meaning, and I thought it was kind of riveting in terms of how maybe y'all would feel about it. What do you guys feel about May speaking about Cardi B and Stephon Diggs? So let me just give you the breakdown. There's this rumor going around. We really don't know. They're claiming that they kind of broke up at the Super Bowl. Reason why Stephon Diggs, who fathered like 6 to 8 kids during the last year, yes, he also had a kid with Cardi, but he's been quote unquote playing in her face, meaning, women that Cardi might not get along with, he'll bring along. He got the baby mamas like, getting preferential treatment while he's not their man anymore. And apparently at the Super Bowl that Cardi paid for like, supposedly like $1.5 million to try to have a whole party for him in case he won, but to really make him good and, memorialize his special event. Apparently Stephon Diggs is really cool with one of the women that used to be Offset side chicks. It's a woman named Pre. I don't know if you ever hear this. Pre Stephon Diggs Super Bowl. So I don't know. Okay, so this person here is like, her name is Pre, and she was next to Stephon Diggs' mom. And supposedly they're saying Cardi B got upset at Stephon Diggs because it's like, I get it, that's your friend, but that's the chick. I want to call her a B word. That's the chick that used to fuck Offset. So supposedly she was Offset's side chick. So remember, Cardi B is like, she's stuck in a really bad situation, if you ask me. And I love Cardi. And next time I talk to her on the phone, like, just me and her solo, I would love to ask her one important question, because you get to a point you got to ask me one question. Are you chasing happiness just straight out of loyalty, or do you want a lit nigga? Because usually they don't go together. If you want loyalty, you want someone who's all about you, my man, all that type of shit. Don't get with someone popular. Get with someone who maybe women already are not drawn to, or maybe they don't have all the women at their disposal, or maybe they don't have like maybe 15 girls that they fuck from time to time. Like, get with the guy that is not going to be in the NFL that everybody says they wouldn't want around his sister. So Cardi B kind of got out of a relationship allegedly with Offset. Not even allegedly. She's told me this directly. She said, which I hope, Cardi, if you hear this, I don't think I'm betraying your trust. She told me this directly. She says, yeah, the cheating, like, she wasn't with it, but she said one of the breaking straws was, she said she felt that it was disrespectful. Like, she was like, yo, if he would go fuck a bitch that I was dancing at the club with. Like, what the fuck? Like, yo, come on, dude. Like, you have zero morals and zero respect. So she felt she had to leave. That's what she told me. Right? Cool. All right. I get that. Actually, I actually definitely get it. Because there's a lot of women who kind of like know that maybe their guy is going to step out this and third. But they're saying like, yo, don't like play me. Don't make me the fucking joke of some of my ops group chat, right? Like, don't try to fuck my ops, right? But then she gets with this guy, Stephon Diggs. And Stephon Diggs, like, apparently her and him, like, this woman who used to be Offset's side chick, Pre, she doesn't fuck Stephon, but they're friends. Well, if you know what Cardi B done been through, you should already know that she doesn't get along with this girl because she used to fuck her ex-husband. You shouldn't have her ex-husband mistress front court or front row or whatever right next to your moms, right? Also, supposedly there was other baby moms littered through the crowd. Like, I don't know how this nigga deal with ticket requests, because it's just a lot, right? Like, you got 18 baby mamas, you have 15 side chicks, and then you have 3 hoes. Like, you know what I mean? It's crazy. So apparently, like, this is one of the factors. I'm pretty sure this can't be all of it, right? Like, oh, you're bringing a girl that I don't like. It can't be that. You know why I'm saying it can't be that? Yo, Cardi B done tolerated a nigga have mad kids on her. Like, bruv, like, you can't get mad at her having a friend you don't like coming to the game. The nigga had children. So that's my opinion, right? Anyway, nonetheless, I had to just explain that to you to kind of get to this, because I gave my opinion, and my opinion, just to make it short, I think Cardi B needs to have some patience, and she needs to know who she's going after. You know, again, when I talk to her next, and you know, again, she knows my relationship with her. Um, I want to ask her one question because sometimes women claim that they want a nigga who's loyal and all about them, but then they go for the nigga who all men want. Not men. I mean, all women want. Like, you can't have it both ways. If you want a guy who's all about you, just loves you, why do you want the guy that every girl wants and also currently has? Or you think he's just gonna like you think you're that special? He's gonna break the mold and just cut every girl off cold turkey, and he's gonna stop talking to his baby mamas, and everybody's gonna have an abortion, and he's just gonna be for you? That's not gonna happen. So that's a real question I would ask her. Like, do you want a just a 100% loyal dude, or do you want a lit nigga that's also kind of loyal or maybe respectful? Because a lot of women make that compromise. The compromise is this: yo, you're a nigga, you're gonna do what a nigga does. And Cardi works in a strip club. She came from a strip club. There's no girl that works in a strip club that should be like, oh, I want to find a faithful man. Most of the job of strippers is to entertain married men and men in relationships because they're bored at home or whatever they're not getting at home, they're trying to get at the club. So it's no way like Cardi's just thinking that she's gonna find some guy who never cheated, right? So it's going back to what, you know, she said to me, like, yo, it's just disrespect. She doesn't, I would imagine she doesn't want to get disrespected, right? Now, granted, I think there's a fair way to say, like, whatever she had, whatever Stephon Diggs had going on, it takes 9 months to create a baby. Maybe he nutted in 6 girls or 10 girls, however many babies he had the month before he met Cardi. So when Cardi kind of takes him serious, she got to eat the fact that, yo, he nutted in 10 girls right before you. It's not like he's having babies on you, technically. He had them right before you. They're just going to all be born this year. I bet. Now, even that, you know, obviously, if you're thinking about being embarrassed, like, who cares about the truth when that becomes a storyline? People, you're going to be embarrassed. But she still hung out and accepted it. So for me, I think that she shouldn't break up with him. She's had a child, or she did have a child with him. I don't think she should break up with him because he brought Offset's former side chick to the game. She should be mad at him. She should be whatever. But it's like, what's the point of going through hell if you're going to get through hell, and then when you're starting to see like greener pastures, you get mad over like somebody calling his phone. And you're like, I'm done over that. You should have been done before. So that's my opinion. And I think that she should get back with him. You have a baby with him. And also, if you watch my rhetoric and narrative throughout all this stuff, I do not believe, and I will not co-sign women in general. Not saying I could control them, but I don't think a woman should have kids with a guy and just say, fuck this, and just move on. I always encourage baby mamas to go back to their first round pick, so to speak, which is your first baby daddy. Go back to it's all about family. This idea that you can just have a kid with everybody and just keep moving on and the kids are just there in perpetuity and you just go slang the pussy. I don't like that. But again, that might be me. But I think I have a traditional view to that. So I think, you know, sometimes you gotta, you know, I try to tell these women, I'm like, if you're complaining that your guy's a cheater, well, you had kids with him. That's your cheater. You need to figure it out with him. Y'all go to therapy. Y'all figure out whatever y'all gotta do. But you're making these choices. At a certain point, you can't just throw away a guy. Just like a guy can't throw away a girl. If you're putting kids in all these women, they're like, I don't fuck with my first baby mama. She a hoe. But you had a baby with a hoe. So you should try to figure out, because family does matter. And that's just my thing. You know, again, I can't impart or say whatever when it comes to Cardi. You know, I really have a lot of respect for her.
Sports Radio. Number to call up is always 888 Mad Dog 6. That's 888-623-3646. Again, the number to call up is 888 Mad Dog 6. That's 888-623-3646. Over the airways of SiriusXM Mad Dog Sports Radio, channel 82 plus. You can send in your voicemail messages at SiriusXM.com/GetSirius to get your voicemails played. Once again, at SiriusXM.com get serious to get your voicemail messages played in case you can't stay on the line for but so long because the lines are usually filled. Let me get to something right now. First of all, there's a star that's ascending before our very eyes in the National Basketball Association. His name is Victor Wembanyama. I watched them go against the Lakers last night, and there's two storylines emanating out of that game last night in which the San Antonio Spurs blew out the Los Angeles Lakers. One would be the dominance of this 7'5" all-purpose player. He's not a center. He's not a power forward. He's just everything. He's shooting like 39% from three-point range. He's making more than 50% of his shots. He's got a handle. He's got a J, a pull-up J, a set shot, a mid-range game, a three-point game, and obviously at 7'5", barely having to jump to dunk, he can do that too. He's averaging 24 and 11 with nearly 3 blocks per game, and he absolutely positively destroyed the Los Angeles Lakers last night at the Crypto.com Arena in Southern California, downtown LA. You know, when you look at him and the San Antonio Spurs, is it time to start asking ourselves, are the Spurs good enough to represent the West in the NBA Finals? Are they good enough? Is it time to start making plans for the Riverwalk? Because when I look at Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs, I'm seeing a team that has gone up against the reigning defending NBA champion Oklahoma City Thunder. You played them about 5 times. You beat them 4, and you blew them out at least twice. I see no fear from the San Antonio Spurs. And I see somewhat of an inability for the Oklahoma City Thunder to figure them out. And I keep hearkening back to Jalen Williams being asked a question weeks ago as to why the San Antonio Spurs were giving the Oklahoma City Thunder so much trouble. And Jalen Williams just sat up there calmly and looked at everybody and said, they've got this guy there that's about 7'5". Just to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, we're seeing guys in the NBA 6'7", 6'8", that look like mini-me standing next to him. They're looking up. You ever see tourists when they show up to cities like New York? And they look at the tall buildings and they're looking way up in the sky. That's how you find yourself looking at Victor Wembanyama. I remember when I had to interview him the night he was drafted, #1 overall by the San Antonio Spurs. I was interviewing him at the NBA draft. ESPN had asked me to look up to him. To this day, affectionately, because no harm, no foul, to this day, it's the most embarrassing interview I've ever done. Because I literally came damn near up to his waistline. A little bit above his waistline. I mean, I was looking up. I had to stretch to get the microphone up to his face. The brother is 14 inches taller than me. That is 1 foot and 2 inches taller. That's who he is. Think KD, 7 feet, 7'6" wingspan with a handle and a J. And now think Wembanyama doing pretty much the same damn thing, and he's 5 inches taller, whose wingspan is probably about 3 or 4 inches wider. This is some unprecedented stuff. And the reason why you have to marvel at him and give him credit where credit is due is because it's not just that he's tall. Yao Ming was 7'6". Sean Bradley was 7'6". We've seen tall dudes in the NBA before. We just didn't see them with these kind of skills until Wembanyama has come along. He's that good. He's that good. That was the first storyline that came out of last night's game. Here's the other one. The NBA has to do something about its tanking issues. You're the Los Angeles Lakers, and I know Rui Hachimura was in the lineup, but for the most part, because others have started games, the Lakers sat 5 starters. Now, what the hell? What the hell? It's a disrespect to the paying customer, to the fans. It's abhorrent what the NBA has gotten away with doing. And I'm not pointing the finger at the league office. I'm not pointing the finger at Commissioner Adam Silver. He's brought it to the attention of the people. He doesn't like it. We don't like it. When are we going to address the level of disrespect the game that is the NBA is showing to fans and the paying customer? I have no problem with guys getting rest. I have no problem with guys sitting out games from time to time. But all of y'all at the same time, you're a coaching staff. You can't schematically come up with a better plan than that. You're a player, and you walk into an arena, and you see thousands of paying customers in attendance. There's nothing inside of you that says, man, I got to play tonight. Because in my years, watching and admiring the NBA before actually covering it, that's what I saw players do. I saw Isaiah Thomas do it. I saw Julius Erving do it. I saw Larry Bird do it. I saw Kareem Abdul-Jabbar do it. I saw James Worthy do it. I saw Patrick Ewing do it. Time and time again, Isaiah Thomas, Karl Malone, John Stockton. Karl Malone played 81 games in the season at age 39. As my man Doggy pointed out on First Take this morning.
What do you think about T-Mobile home internet only being $35 a month?
We need to take your mind off of this. Come check out my new man cave.
T-Mobile's got home internet, just $35 a month, and it's guaranteed for 5 years.
I got to get my researcher to look up. I want these stars who've played 82 games. Michael Jordan played all 82 games 8-9 times in his career. 8-9 times I'm talking about 8-9 seasons. We're looking at guys that don't do that for one. We're looking at healthy scratches. Oh, this guy needs rest. He was a little bit tired. Did you say that to the customer when you took their money? I mean, this is some straight BS. And I'm gonna take it to a place that's uncomfortable for other people to take it to, but damn it, they ain't me. I don't give a damn. I'm gonna tell you why this is problematic. You see, you doing it after you got your money. Because with the collective bargaining agreement and 50% of basketball-related income, 100% being split 50-50, with 9-figure salaries being doled out, with the modern-day athlete being paid generational money. No, we don't have to harken back to the days when George Mikan and Lou Alcindor and Wilt Chamberlain were playing. We understand the NBA today is not what it was back then. Nobody's trying to be archaic here. But from the 90s to the 2000s and beyond, there's a boatload of money that cats have been paid. And you see, I mean, at least back in the day, cats were off due to injury. You're watching guys that are taking days off of knee rest. You know, we live in the world of anti-aging. We see saunas, red light saunas. We see cold plunges. You understand that can contribute to cutting down inflammation and activate that brown fat in your body and contribute to recovery issues. We see cats with red light beds, hyperbaric chambers. I would know, I've used them. Why you think I'm looking so healthy? And I'm here to tell you something right now. I ain't no damn professional athlete. I just want to live better. I want to elevate and improve my quality of life. What's their excuses?
Having better like when you make the time.
You got cats getting paid $200, $300 million. $200-300 million. And you taking days off. Healthy scratches. Healthy scratches. We're not talking about LeBron James here. The man's 41 in his 23rd season. Nah, we ain't doing that here. But most of these other cats, what? I haven't uttered a single criticism of J.J. Redick or Rob Pelinka in the last year and a half. Damn, fellas, all 5 starters, Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves, Brian Windhorst comes on the show talking about how, you know, he's recovering. Well, hell, he played the other night. What the hell were you doing when you were missing all of those games? Watching General Hospital? Run Young and the Restless? What's up? What the hell is going on? I don't understand this. We had a situation for the Utah Jazz. It was the other night against Miami. And what happened is that they sat some cats down, okay? That's what they did. They sat some cats down, all right? And I want y'all to read, this lead to y'all, written by Chris Mannix, who does a great job, by the way, Sports Illustrated, covering the NBA. I want y'all to hear this lead. This is what good writing. Think about this. Okay? Let me read this to you following Monday night's game. The Utah Jazz beat the Miami Heat. Here was Chris Mannix's lead in Sports Illustrated. On Monday night, the Utah Jazz suffered a setback in Miami. They won. That was his lead. They suffered a setback because they won. Because the objective is not to lead. It's to throw games. What the hell is going on here? They acquired Jaren Jackson Jr., sat him. You had Laura Markkanen late in the game, and you pulled them. Washington Wizards, you recently acquired Trae Young and Anthony Davis, but are rushing neither of them to get on the court and play.
When you're cooking up a spread, you can't forget the GOAT.
The perfect blend of flavor with the right amount of heat. Frank's Red.
I know we got some good players. I just brought up this cat at Kansas. And I got brain lock for the moment I forget his name. He's projected to be the #1 pick in the draft potentially. And the brothers missed a few games. And what Darren Peterson, I'm sorry. Listen, I seen him play once or twice. The brother got mad skills. He can ball. He's supposed to be the #1 overall pick. They got him missing, over 11 games? And what we hearing? Flu-like symptoms. Cramps. I could say what's on my mind when I heard that word, but I'm not going to go there. I don't want to offend nobody. Cramps. What the hell is going on? I mean, this is not good. And something has to be said about it. You got Utah. Thank God for Cooper Flagg, because we know they ain't really trying to win in Dallas, but they got that brother putting on a show. Thank God for him. One of the voices I respect a lot. He's my colleague for many, many years. We used to work on NBA shoot-around together before it became named NBA Countdown. He does an outstanding job calling the games with Mike Breen and Richard Jefferson, my man Tim Legler. He was recently on Sirius XM radio. I think it was NBA radio. And he was talking. I'm sorry, the Bill Simmons podcast. He was on Bill Simmons' podcast. I apologize for that. And he was talking about the NBA and the product that's been put out on the floor. I want y'all to pay rapt attention to Tim Legler because very few people on the planet know more basketball than this brother. I'm here to tell you. And for him to call games, to watch games, to see these guys up close and personal, sitting courtside, literally licensed to call the games. Please listen to Tim Legler talk about the product he's witnessing on the basketball court in today's game. Listen to this.
I've also seen a tremendous fluctuation. The number of nights that I've seen teams either in person when I've sat courtside calling a game, sitting at home on League Pass watching the game, the fluctuation in effort. There are nights when you watch teams and you can't believe how flat they are. You know, and I've seen more of that this year than any other time, which means on any given night, anybody is capable of beating anybody. It may sound like you think that's a cliche because it's the NBA, but normally that's not the case. If you have teams that are contenders, that are teams that are really playing for something later in the year, we all know that, and you get a team that is not, or a team that's got a bunch of young dudes, or a team that's clearly not really that concerned about winning games because they're trying to think about the future. Like, and you get that team on your home floor mid-season in the dog days, like you're supposed to beat that team down. And I've seen more nights now where those teams have been flat. Or one team, even in a matchup where two really good teams are about to play, and you're super excited about the game. And for whatever reason, one of them just comes out and they're so flat, it's almost borderline disinterested. And it leads to these crazy scores, these really weird results. Some of the blowouts we've seen from bad teams beating down good teams.
Right.
Not just winning like buzzer beaters, like, oh, wow, they played hard. They thought they were in the game and they eventually won it. No, they beat teams by 25 and 30 points on their home floor.
You see what I'm saying? How is a fan supposed to feel when they hear something like that? You don't see that in the NFL. Although it's not as taxing on the body, you don't even see that in Major League Baseball. They got a license to literally sit out there sucking on pumpkin seeds. But it's rare that you're able to look at a baseball player and say, you know what, they're not really interested in doing their job. One of the great moments that I saw this past Major League Baseball season, and it was one of the reasons that I made sure to pick up the phone and call Commissioner Rob Manfred myself. And I also had Dave Roberts, the World Series championship manager for the Los Angeles Dodgers, on this show immediately after they won the World Series, is because as great as that World Series was in terms of performances, ladies and gentlemen, it was even better from a competitive standpoint. Did you see Guerrero trying to take down the Dodgers? Did you see these boys going after the Dodgers and pushing them to the brink? Did you see Shohei Ohtani making $700 million go out there and swing that bat and still showed up on the hill to pitch Game 7?
Think switching to T-Mobile's a whole complicated thing? Nah, it's easy.
For a limited time, switch to T-Mobile's Better Value Plan. You can save over $1,000 a year versus Verizon and AT&T. Save on streaming, satellite, and more benefits they leave out.
It's better over here.
I was like, this is what it's all about. This is what we're talking about here. This is a champion that said, yo, and the elite player in the game that said, yo, give me the ball. And he had just pitched a couple of games earlier. His arm was damn near dead. I got a little something for you. Gave up a 2-run shot in the third inning, came back in the fourth or the fifth, whenever it was, and made sure he made up for it with an RBI. This is what I'm talking about. It's knowing who you are, knowing who the audience is, and saying, I'm going to give you what I got. I'm going to give you what I got. It's stuff like this that has people looking at an Anthony Davis, for example, and saying that's why the Lakers championship in the bubble was illegitimate. Not because of Anthony Davis's skill set, because the brother can ball. He's good for 28 and 12 a night when healthy and on the basketball court. The question the cynics kept asking about him, not me, because I think it was incredible what they pulled off in the bubble, but others did not. And here was their reason why. If there was no interruption to the 2019-2020 season that was derailed and stalled by COVID, if there had been no interruption, there's no way in hell the Lakers would have won, because they were saying Anthony Davis would not have been healthy. Anthony Davis would not have been able to make it through the season. He could not have gone from February through March, April, into May and June and won a championship. No way he would have held up. That's what they all said. And we see stuff like this. Why? As to why that is. Anthony Davis got traded to Washington from the Dallas Mavericks. Ladies and gentlemen, Anthony Davis is making $54.1 million this year. He's played in about 31 games for the Dallas Mavericks. He's missed about 50. He's making $58.4 million next year. Totally guaranteed, every penny. And then he's got a player option in 2027, 2028 to make $62.7 million. Ain't playing.
Goddamn, I ain't know that. That's crazy.
Joel Embiid is hurt all the time, but he's legitimately hurt all the damn time. He came into the league with a foot injury. How do you think it makes the paying customer feel where you see numbers like that? And you're saying to yourself, or Kawhi Leonard, $50 million this year, $50.3 million next year, fully guaranteed, $100.3 million guaranteed. How do you think it makes them feel? This is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. You don't see that in the NFL. You don't see that in Major League Baseball. You don't see that in hockey. You don't see it. The closest thing you see to it is in boxing, because they ain't giving us the fights we want to see when we want to see them. But at least you could blame the promoters. Now, the players will tell you, it ain't us. It's the organization. It's the strength and conditioning coach. It's the medical staff. It's the coaches. Yep. When you're making this kind of money, you do what you do. Trae Young's been traded from Atlanta to Washington, D.C. He's obviously looking to re-up. Okay? He's got a player option for next season at $48.9 million. He's looking for a new long-term deal. That's why he was willing to depart from Atlanta to go to Washington. He's at $46.3 million right now. I don't want to be in anybody's pocket, preventing them from getting their paper. I just want them to show up to work. You're an organization, you can't sit down 5 damn starters in one game. That is ridiculous. You can't spread it out and make sure that most of your squad is intact. It's very bad, y'all. It's very bad. And once again, you're going to hear people lamenting why these players is getting their money. And then down the line, when another collective bargaining negotiation comes forward, you're going to hear people talking about, yo, man, you ain't showing up to work. You don't deserve this paper. We're going to try to cut down on those guaranteed years. The things that were done to uplift player empowerment and player cachet for decades before they ever came along, these players and today's game with coaches and executives and owners are getting in the way of a product spent decades being built. It's a disgrace. It really is. 888 Mad Dog 6 is always the number to call up. That's 888-623-3646. You listen live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, Sirius XM, Mad Dog Sports Radio. Back with you.
Oh, that was crazy. She went back to sleep. Blowing up a storm.
The processed food studies are like that. They've taken groups of people, put them in rooms, observed them, and said, okay, let's see how much they eat when they're exposed to all whole natural foods in this group or all heavily processed foods, right? Foods that come in wrappers or boxes, or, with lots of ingredients type of deal in this room. And then what they did with these, because they were quite smart with this, they actually made the macro profiles similar. So it wasn't like all carbs or all protein, whatever. It was like similar. It was just whole natural foods versus heavily processed foods. And then they observed. And then they took those same groups and rooms, even better. Now it's not like maybe we accidentally got a bunch of people who like to eat a lot in this room or whatever. They said, let's switch rooms and see what happens. And consistently, people will eat on average 500 to 600 more calories a day by eating heavily processed foods. No. So I think that has to play the biggest role, because that's a big jump. 500 to 600 calories a day. That's an extra 3,500 calories a week, which I know that, we're about to do some simple math here that doesn't always break down, but there's roughly 3,500 calories in a pound of fat. So technically a pound of fat a week.
You'd put that up as the number one contributor 100%. Over. Now, where would you put something like lack of sleep in terms of the downstream effects from that, and, hormone balance, and, obviously like, just recovery in general?
Yeah, I would say all those play a role. But if you took a bunch of people who are sleep deprived, again, this group eats 85% of their diet, which, by the way, okay, average American diet is between 70 to 80% heavily processed. Okay. If you expose them to heavily processed versus not, you would still see the difference. Yeah. So everybody eats more when they're sleep deprived.
Yeah.
But
they especially lean to those overly processed foods when they're sleep deprived.
Totally.
It creates those cravings.
Sticking with this processed food conversation, which I love because this happens to be one of the more debated topics in our space.
Yeah.
This isn't like it's in fact, I think it's one of the most difficult things to communicate, because we tend to have two camps in the health and fitness space that communicate about processed foods. You have obviously some of the people that are on the whole natural, hippie, crunchy, woo-woo side that would be like, oh my God, it's the worst thing for you. It's the devil. They talk about all the chemicals and the hormones and everything that's so bad about these processed foods, and it's killing us. And it's kind of fear-mongering on that side. And then you have the science-heavy counter-argument in the health space that's going to debate those woo-woo people and be like, "Oh, everything is a chemical. Yeah. Yes, if all calories are equated for, then all the science points to there is nothing wrong with these processed foods. You can absolutely lose 30% down to 10% down body fat." And so I like that you went this way to have this conversation, because I know there's people right now that are listening to this that are on one side or the other. Obviously, you communicating processed foods are your number one. The woo-woo people right away jump on board with you. But there is definitely a group of people that are listening right now that are resistant to that being you claiming that's the number one tip, when they're listening to their favorite fitness professional that's telling you there's nothing wrong with those protein cookies. There's nothing wrong with, a bag of chips so long as it fits your macros. Right. And so you point out as that being the number one, if not one of your top reasons that sabotages someone from being successful like that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, let me ask you guys, when you guys train clients, what was the one step that a client could take that would have the biggest, if you had to pick one thing, what was it?
Yeah, whole foods.
It was this. Yeah. Now, it's not, are processed foods inherently unhealthy? No. I mean, although I can make the argument that most part they're not as healthy, quote unquote, not as healthy as whole natural foods. But forget that for a second. It's just heavily processed foods. Most of the ingredients that are in those foods are in there to make them more desirable to eat. So they're just more for lack of a better term, addictive, more pleasurable, more hedonistic. And so people eat them more. It's just a fact. Look, remember we had Chris Kresser on the show years ago. I loved the line that he used, or the example that he used. He said, imagine if I put 4 or 5 plain boiled potatoes in front of you, no salt, no butter, and I told you to eat them in 30 minutes. Do you think you could? I'm like, oh my God, it'd be hard to choke them down. After the third one, I'd probably gag. And he said, well, could you eat a whole family-sized bag of potato chips? It's right around the same amount, right? Except one of them is engineered to be hyper-palatable, and the other one is just what you find in nature. So it really boils down to if you're trying to lose weight and you find it difficult to eat the right amount of food. In other words, do you find it difficult to not overeat? Yes. Avoid foods that make you overeat. What is that? Heavily processed food.
There's another layer to that I think you have to point out too, that a lot of the science fitness people don't point out. They talk about what the science and the data says about the calories, but then they lack the information or lack the communication around the behavioral psychology related to this. And there's something to be said. This is something that I learned with training so many clients is if I told my client they can't or don't, it's just like talking to a toddler. It's like you tell a toddler, don't do that. It's like it's the first thing they go and do versus keeping their mind occupied on something else, right? And distracting them. They don't seem to think or care too much about that. The same thing would work with clients. Instead of me telling them you can't have these things, I would say you can have anything you want so long as it's whole foods.
Eat as much as you want.
Yeah, you eat as much as you want. I'm not going to tell you that you have to weigh, you have to measure, do stuff. Just these are the foods I want you to choose from. There's something to be said about the power of that psychology and that game that you're playing, even with yourself, is saying like, hey, my trainer, or I'm not telling myself I can't have these things. All I'm saying is, hey, I'm going to make it a goal that I just make choices from whole foods.
I've never had a client struggle with weight loss who just didn't want to eat a lot of food. That doesn't exist. Somebody who just, it's not a problem. I can eat less and I can eat the right amount. And in fact, I don't have cravings to do more. They don't struggle with this because they're not struggling with the urge or the desire to eat more food. Heavily processed foods are engineered precisely to make you eat more. And it even includes health foods. Even health foods, quote unquote health foods, you mentioned protein cookies, right? Or whatever. When you look at that category, the top sellers in that category of foods are not the ones that are the healthiest. They're the ones that taste the best. Yeah. Because people enjoy eating things that they enjoy eating. So that's one of the biggest things that sabotages fat loss. So although it is true, you could eat the right amount of calories, even though you're eating a predominantly, heavily processed food diet, you're going to struggle. It's not going to be easy. Why don't we just make this a lot easier? Avoid that category, eat as much as you want, and then what ends up happening, you end up eating 500 to 600 calories less a day on average. This is just again what the data shows.
In my experience, the only client this has ever worked for is the client that is competing.
Oh, with the processed foods? Yeah.
Yes. The client,
they count everything.
Because they have to. Because that's part of this getting into a competition. You have to track, you have to measure, you have to weigh. And so their ability to insert, protein cookie, their Diet Cokes, all these different things into their diet is totally fine because they're tracking diligently and they have to do that in order to compete at this whatever level they're competing at. The clients who are just going off of how they feel or trying their best to track or pay attention to never succeeded with a strategy like this where you allowed them to eat all these processed foods. It was far easier as a trainer to get my clients to reduce this body fat, to drop this body fat percentage from 30 down to 10%.
What can a no-fee, no-minimum Capital One 360 checking account do for you?
Capital One banking?
A lot. Bank and sip at any Capital One cafe. That's the stuff. Try a no-fee, no-minimum 360 checking account from Capital One.
With USAA Safe Pilot, I can save when I drive safely.
With USAA Safe Pilot Miles, I can save when I drive less.
On the way to the game.
Watching the... No!
By just having them stick to whole foods.
Oh yeah, it was one of my my hacks. It was like a magic trick. In fact, clients would always come back to me and say, what is it about heavily processed foods that make you gain weight? Like I'm eating a lot right now, but I'm getting leaner. It's like we're actually eating less calories. You just don't realize it. And then we would track, and sure enough, I'd show them. And along the lines of what we're talking about in terms of eating in ways that promote not overeating, we took whole natural foods. That's at the top. Underneath that is high protein foods. High protein foods or high protein in general is very satiety producing. It's one of the fastest ways to get your appetite and cravings go down is to eat the protein first. Eat a high protein meal, eat it first. You're far less likely to overeat when you do that. So that would be the second thing that I would say is that people, when they tend to eat a meal, they tend to not eat the protein first. In fact, meals tend to be served this way. Carbohydrates first, and then proteins last. Well, eat the protein first.
Yeah, I was thinking about, your original point of whole foods and then versus like processed foods. Like there's a speed issue there in terms of like speed of digestion, speed of delivery, like, just eating chips. You're just constantly kind of, going through the bag pretty quickly versus it takes a while to get through like these boiled potatoes. And plus it's not like super enjoyable on top of that. But I think there's just like unconscious eating that's happening as well when you have those types of foods where you're just grabbing and you're eating. You don't realize how many calories you're consuming with that.
Without going too deep in the weeds, right? Our bodies evolved with a satiety mechanism to tell us to stop eating. And what combats that are all the signals that we're getting from the food in terms of its palatability. And it's for thousands of years, it's been balanced. But then what we did in not that long ago, it's only been 6 or 7 decades, right, where we've really started to push heavily processed foods. And it's really only been a few decades where it's become a predominant part of our diets. It doesn't match the satiety. It doesn't match the satiety signal. It's actually offset. So again, 500 to 600 calories consistently in the data. That's not a little bit. I mean, let me put it this way. If you ate 100 calories extra a day right now, by the end of the year, you'd have significant fat gain, let alone 500 or 600 extra calories. So that simple thing right there. And like I said, for my clients on average, if I had a client that had to lose 30 or more pounds, I could consistently get them to lose 15 to 20 pounds with that step. Nothing else. We wouldn't even touch anything else until we got to 15 to 20 pound weight loss. And it was just from that step right there. All right, we're talking about fat loss real quick. Sorry to interrupt, but we have a free fat loss guide, how to lose fat in 3 easy steps. It's totally free. Click on the link in the description below. Now, this episode is brought to you by a sponsor, Legion. They make high-performance supplements for people who are into building muscle, strength, improving athletic performance, and burning body fat. It's one of the best supplement companies around. What they say is in the bottle or on the bag is in the bottle or on the bag. The integrity of this company is bar none, one of the best. Go check them out. Go to buylegion.com. That's BUYLEGION.com/mind pump. Use the code mind pump. Get 20% off. And if you're a returning customer, you get double rewards points. We also have a sale this month. MAPS Bands is half off, and MAPS 40 Plus also half off. If you're interested,
strategies that we would want to give clients to set them up for success. Doesn't mean that anybody in this room, in fact, I bet everybody in this room in the last week has probably used a protein shake, right? So it's not that, and so we do advocate, or we do talk about the use of them, and they can be very useful in a pinch, in a bind. But as a strategy, when I'm taking a client who comes to me with 30% body fat and they're telling me what are the best steps for me to get down to 10% body fat, and I'm thinking about all the common mistakes that people make, this is one of them. Is right away, for some reason, people think when they go on a diet, oh, I got to add the shakes and bars, like it's a healthy choice for them to make. And in fact, they don't realize that they may actually be making it more difficult for themselves, because instead of going and getting a piece of steak or chicken or whole food that's going to produce more satiety, get more nutrients, micronutrients with it, they are going over to these shakes and bars, and then they're hungry again another hour or two, and it's difficult to do that. So it's not that we're demonizing it or saying they can't have value or we wouldn't use it. It's that when I'm thinking of this client, this avatar who's going from 30 down to 10%, I'm thinking of the most important strategies to teach them. And then down the road, we could talk about like, oh, okay, you're short on protein, it's late at night, having a shake real quick before you go to bed. Great strategy, great way to make sure you hit your protein intake.
Very good point. At the end of the day, what we're trying to do is make this as easy as possible. Because going from 30% to 10% body fat is a long road, and it's going to be a bit challenging no matter what. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, follow all of our advice. It's still going to be challenging. It's just going to be way less challenging than if you don't listen to what we're saying. You're going to make it almost impossible. In fact, the data shows 85 to 90% of people who lose weight gain it back. And it's because they don't follow some of the things that we're talking about. All right, so let's talk about the strategies, okay? What are some more specific strategies on how to do this? Number one, you got to strength train.
But strength train to build muscle.
Yes.
Not burn calories.
No, real strength training, traditional strength training. Like you do a set, you rest for 2 minutes, you do a set, you rest for 2 minutes.
Circuit.
Not circuit training, not where you're just trying to move, but you're literally trying to get stronger and build muscle. Now, why? Because you're trying to burn body fat and not lose muscle. When you cut your calories, inevitably your body will pare muscle down to slow your metabolism down to meet the new caloric intake. Strength training sends an opposite signal. It says, no, we need this muscle. In fact, if you do it right, you may build muscle in the process, which, by the way, comes with a wonderful side effect of
It's so easy to become a podcaster with Riverside. First, go to Riverside and open an account. When you're ready to record, just hit rec.
faster metabolism. So now you have a faster metabolism, which means you can eat more and still eat less than you're burning and burn body fat. In other words, if you could take your body from burning 2,000 calories a day to burning 2,500 calories a day on its own, not because you're moving more, not because you're doing more stuff, but rather you just have more muscle on your body, so it costs more calories to maintain, how much easier would it be to get leaner? Strength training is the best form of exercise, not for weight loss, for fat loss. No other form of
Sustainable fat loss.
No other form of exercise shows pure fat loss like strength training does. And again, the data supports this now. It's not just bodybuilding now. It's like, you want to lose weight, you got to lift weight.
Now, there's two very, very important tips, though, that I think that go with this. One, the point you made already about not doing it in a circuit style, giving you actual rest periods, lifting with the intent to try and get stronger,
Yes.
right? I want to lift weights with the intent to try and get stronger. That's obviously the first thing. The second thing that's so important is you got to hit your protein intake.
Yes.
Because one of the most common mistakes that who's trying to go from 30 down to 10% body fat is they go right into cutting calories, and what comes with them cutting hard calories is also reducing their total intake, and many times they were already eating low protein and now they're hitting even lower protein, yet they're lifting weights, sending a signal to the body, hey, we need to build muscle, but then the body goes and looks for its building blocks to build that muscle, and you ain't giving it.
Yeah.
You ain't giving it enough protein. You're not giving it enough protein to then take those nutrients to go build muscle, to then go speed up your metabolism. So you going out and just strength training is step one, but if you're not pairing that with the adequate amount of protein every single day consistently, then your body's not going to build muscle. It's not going to speed the metabolism up.
No, you got to give it the building blocks. That's why we said earlier, whole natural foods and then eat protein first. So someone might be wondering, well, how much is enough protein for this? You want to eat your target body weight in grams of protein. So if you want to weigh 150 pounds or 130 pounds or 180 pounds, then aim for 180 grams of protein a day. And the best way to do this is to eat that protein first and have it from whole natural source. By the way, I'm going to say this right now. If you eat your target body weight in grams of protein, you eat it first and you stick to whole natural foods, the odds that you're going to be eating enough to lose body fat, or the odds that you'll be eating in a calorie deficit, to put differently, are high. They're actually quite high. Most of the time, the vast majority of the time, you will not be eating too much by doing this. It may feel like that. And I'm saying that because protein crushes appetite. And a lot of times people, when they do this, are like, oh my God, I'm at the end of the day. I need to eat 150 grams of protein. I'm at 120 and I can't eat another 30 grams of protein. And why should I? I feel like I'm eating too much now. No. Hit it and watch
well,
what
especially
happens.
the first thing in the day, then you realize like how your blood sugar is pretty stable throughout the day. You don't get these big swings up and down, and which create cravings and create all these other, hunger signals. So it's actually like, if you do that first thing, you notice the whole rest of your day is set up.
What a
for
good
success.
point. They actually showed that in studies. When people eat a high protein breakfast, high protein would be like a good 30, 40, 50 grams of protein for breakfast. They're less likely to overeat throughout the entire day. Probably because of what you said, Justin.
You also highlighted, this is a perfect example of where I would actually introduce a shake to somebody, is somebody who says that exact same thing back to me. They know that their target protein they need to take every single day is 150 grams. That's what we've decided based off of their body weight or their body weight goal. Okay, we need to hit 150 a day. They're coming to me, Adam, I'm so full at the end of the day. It's 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah, now a shake.
And I'm only at 110 or 120 grams of protein, and I don't want to eat anymore. But should I just, and since I want to lose weight, shouldn't I just not eat And I would say, no, not in this case. We're strength training to build muscle, to speed up the metabolism. You are missing your protein intake consistently. Here's a situation where I want you to get that protein shake in. So we definitely feed that muscle. And it is definitely not going to keep you from leaning out. It's going to go to building muscle. And that in turn is going to speed the metabolism up, which ultimately will help you lean out and get down to the 10%.
Awesome. And now with strength training, we'll go back to that, right? One of the fundamental rules of strength training is known as progressive overload, meaning if you, and this is very true, especially in the first few years of training, later on it gets more complicated, but in those first few years, your body continues to progress because you're progressively overloading it. You're doing more or lifting more than you were previously, so you continue to progress. In other words, when you strength train, it's a stress on the body, and the way that the body adapts to that stress is by becoming strong enough so that that stress is no longer stress. And then what do? You add more stress. That's the progressive overload. One of the best ways to do that, or to do that consistently, is to track your training volume. What does that formula look like? Well, it's sets times reps times weight that you lifted. So if you did 3 sets of 10 reps of bench press at 100 pounds, it would be 3 times 10 times 100. That's your volume for that exercise. And then slowly over time, while you're going from 30 to 10%, see if you can either keep that volume the same, so long as it's appropriate. If you're overtraining, back off. But if it's appropriate, keep it the same and or slowly inch it up when the time feels right. When you feel strong, you feel healthy, slowly inch it up. And that's how you progressively overload your body throughout this process.
I even used to give the advice of just maintain, or I used to say, hold the line and hit at least your volume every week, and then allow your body to tell you when it's ready for more. Meaning you're going to have these workouts, and everybody's experienced this before, where you feel good. You feel rested. You feel well fed. You do that first warm up set and you're like, wow, the bar is moving real easy. Like, here's the time where I'm going to go ahead and stretch my capacity a little bit, go ahead and add a little bit of volume, just a little bit more than what you were doing previously. And then again, we're going to go back to that, hold the line. Now we're going to stay there again until I have another one of those days where I'm feeling good. And then I'm going to add more. And you just do it incrementally like that over time. And you'd be so surprised on how much that starts to compound over weeks and
now
weeks.
You combine that with high protein, and then you combine it with this next point, which is feed muscle gains. In other words, if your calories are too low, you'll suffer in the gym. Now, they need to be low for you to lose weight, but if they're too low, you're going to go to the gym, you're going to feel like garbage. So, in other words, one of your number one goals here with this is I need to also kind of get stronger. If I'm getting stronger and I'm sticking to whole natural foods and I'm hitting my protein, I'm on the right track. And what'll probably happen, especially initially, is you'll get leaner while building a little bit of muscle. The scale might not even move that much initially, but what's happening is you're boosting your metabolism. Over time, your metabolism starts to speed up. Now your calories that you're currently eating become more of a deficit and more fat starts to come off your body. Eventually get to the point where you start to track and cut your calories. Now, why am I saying that? When you go from 30 to 18, 16, 17% body fat, it's pretty consistent. It's not nearly as hard as going from 16 to 10. When you get down to 10, when you start to get down to the 10, where you want to see your abs, you want to see that six pack, now you need to get a little bit more granular. Now you need to start tracking and then cut from there. But most people, in my experience, could get into the high to mid teens just by living kind of a healthy lifestyle with some of those steps.
That's been my experience coaching people, is simply by following all the other strategies, we never really had to aggressively cut until you try to get down to like single digits.
Right.
When you start getting down to single digits, and by the way, too, you didn't hear us mention anything about cardio.
No
cardio. You don't even need to do that to get down to that 10%. You can go from 30.
Yo, no funny shit. That's why I like listening to these guys, man. They give it to you like literally on point. Like everything they saying is absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. And keep it simple. It's very simple. Just it'd be a little tough. My G was good. Yeah, I know, man. I know. It's because I was telling that to the other moderator, D. I had an issue with my account. I think because they got so much restrictions on here. I might have had like music playing in the background, and I know I did make a post, and it had like some kind of copyright thing. And I looked before I actually made it, and it said permission. It said not permission. It says it's okay to utilize without permission. You know what I'm saying? And I guess whatever, the people changed their mind and they saw it. They hit me with a strike, and then they told me, look, it was random too, because remember we started getting that progress and we started growing, and they hit me with a strike, and they told me it wouldn't come off until I think like February 9th or something like that. It was some day in February, and at that point I didn't care. It was like, damn, it was November. You remember we had that momentum, was figuring out, the timing. Remember I was trying to figure out all of this stuff. Like, I ain't no tech dude, so I kind of learned it on my own, just practicing and messing up, and I kind of got to sync together like how I've been trying to do it and put it together. But the strike kind of helped me because now it gave me a chance to say, hey, look, let me figure out how to build because I understand the importance of this and how it builds community and it spreads it. You know what I'm saying? But long story short, we back at it. Just tweaking it up. It's not gonna be nothing crazy. Still gonna be same old. From time to time we get in the kitchen. From time to time we in the gym. This is gonna be a new element where we just checking out all kind of different stuff. It's not all the time I'm gonna be on here, but we're gonna have fun with it. You see, I still got you locked in as a moderator. I'm glad you good, my G. Glad you good. But like, I'm gonna get back to these guys. They really dope, man. They be giving some real good info. And real talk, I've actually applied a lot of this stuff, and it works for me as well. So, I mean, to each his own. But I love the approach. It's very simple. It's just kind of getting the understanding of it, and then more so like anything in life, man. You just gotta practice it. Like, you gotta just practice and practice and practice, and then that kind of relieves the pressure. You know what I'm saying? It's just like when you getting stronger. You know what I'm saying? And after a while, a certain weight ain't gonna be heavy no more because you're gonna adapt and you'll be strong. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, glad you good. I'm gonna get back to this. I gotta get out of here soon. But, so you know what? I don't really got much. Let me just show something. Just I was gonna be watching this and listening to this anyway before I get on with my day. But these guys are dope, man. You guys are real dope. We'll get back to it.
All the way down to 10. And in fact, I'm advising my clients to not do cardio, especially until we get to that point. And we want to get down to single digits, 9, 8, 7, 6, getting really, really low body fat percentage. Then maybe we start talking about cutting for longer periods of time. We start talking about doing things where we're getting on cardio. Because you know why? Because now we're entering into a unhealthy place to be. And I don't want you to be there for very long. But if you're trying to get there just to prove a point, I can get down to 6 or 7% body fat. Then it makes sense to introduce some of these extreme things. But the average person who's going from 30% to body fat down to seeing their abs can absolutely do that through all the tips that we talked about and never touch a piece of cardio equipment.
I want to clarify, right? This doesn't mean don't be active every day. You want to be healthy and you want to be active every day. I like tracking steps. I like making sure you're getting, a nice 10,000, 12,000 steps a day, which is a lot more than most people will get. So make sure you're moving throughout the day. But what Adam's talking about is structured cardio workouts. Now, why are we saying I'd rather you not do it? Well, number one, cardio doesn't build muscle. Yes, it does burn calories, but your body adapts to that very quickly. But ultimately, it's like, look, if you're going to spend time in the gym, you're much better off spending it strength training. And most people are not going to work out consistently from the journey of 30 to 10.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform.
Oh yeah, whenever I'm working on some shit where it's
more than 3 days a week on average.
Yeah. I'm working on some shit where it's gonna be premium, so ain't gonna be no ads in there. Ain't gonna be no ads. Look, we finally got it, man. Yo, we finally got it, dog. Like it's on the exactly how we was trying to put it together. It's coming together. It's patience, it's practice, and it's consistency. It's just like, we at least for me personally, with my training. You know what I'm saying? Some days, some weeks I'm good, some weeks I'm not. But it's still about just being consistent and just showing up. Even if you show up and just do a little bit, even that over time stacks up, and it gets you to where you need to be. So that's the approach that we're gonna move with. It's very simple. We ain't gonna overthink it. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna have fun with the process. You know what I'm saying? And you've been at the process, Dom. You seen from jump. You know what I'm saying? I think it was like UD. The kid D, remember, he's in Africa. When we first started, what he had, he wasn't even doing streams. He would post stuff here and there. Y'all helped me get my numbers up. Yo, you know what? He turned around and his numbers is crazy. He about to pass 1K right now. Another moderator, her name is Liz. She was out, and I think San Diego or one of them places on the West Coast. And that was another thing I realized. Everybody's from like different places, like literally of not just the country, but in the world. So Liz, she was at like 300 and she held I remember I was at like 120. And I was like, yo, one time I was like, yo, let's get to 2. Eventually we are where we are now. Still got a long way to go. Remember I told you I got hit with that strike and for some reason my shit wasn't going out there like that. She kept it going. She actually did everything I was doing as I was trying to figure it out. She did exactly what I'm doing. And she is gone. Like she on her way. Like she got her rhythm, she got her community, she got her verse, she got her setup. Like she go crazy with it. I ain't trying to do all that. I'm keeping this as simple as possible. It's great information, great content. I can't be too loud as Matt really. And just great work, stuff that looks really clean, even stuff that's really rough and edgy, because it don't gotta be perfect. And that's what I be telling people. It don't gotta be perfect all the goddamn time. Just put your best foot forward, man. Just keep practicing. Even if it's a little bit. Even if it's a little bit. But as I digress, because I gotta get out of here soon. I want you to see the rest of this message.
So I would rather you spend that strength training, not doing 45 minutes
The
or an hour
focus has to
cardio.
be on muscle, preserving it
Yes.
at all costs. And I think that's the
Yeah.
biggest misconception with, trying to lower your body fat in general. It's like, to do that, we need to replace it or preserve the muscle mass that you have. And so it's every step that you take has to be towards what it takes to build muscle. And that's like the focus of it. And we just, manipulate the nutrition so it provides just enough for the preservation, but also now to cut down so we can start carving into that excess energy store.
Well, and to piggyback off the steps, one of our favorite ways, I've heard us all communicate this before, is to add steps post meal.
Yeah.
So one of the because just walking 10 to 20 minutes post meal is a great way. One, you're pairing it with another behavior, right? All the research supports that if you want something to be consistent, one of the fastest, best ways to do that is to pair it with already another habit. You have to eat every single day. Everyone's already made a habit around breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So easy. Now I'm going to start to, set a goal of I'm going to walk for 10 minutes and start small. If you've never done it before and you can't commit to 20 minutes of a walk after a meal and that's not feasible for you, start with 5. Then go to 10, then go to 20. But that's what I would like to get up to, is where you're doing for a 15 to 20 minute walk afterwards. Not only are you getting the benefits of the activity, the movement, the blood flow, the digestion, you're going with that, you're burning more calories. You're not sending a loud signal that's catabolic like doing cardio. You're just creating more movement that's overall healthy for you, and it's something that's sustainable, so that once you do get down to this 10%, it's a habit that's not hard for you to keep going, which is always important. When I'm communicating a goal like this to somebody, it's like, yes, I know you want to go from 30 down to 10% body fat and see your abs, but I bet you want to continue to keep that and see that, right? You don't want to just get there and then go all the way right back to 30%. So my goal is to keep in mind that whatever we build into this routine, everything from eating, habits around exercise and movement, it needs to be something that you can sustain for the rest of your life. Otherwise, you're just going to push your body so hard and you're going to discipline yourself to do all these things. You're going to get there and you have a habit for a moment in time, and then you go right back to that old way.
100%.
Yep. Yo, but it's dope though. We rocking and rolling, kid. We rocking and rolling. Let's throw something else on for you. I was watching this shit. This shit was kind of cool. Oh no, it's done.
And I'm gonna take it to a place that's uncomfortable for other people to take it to, but damn it, they ain't me. I don't give a damn. I'm gonna tell you why this is problematic. You see, you doing it after you got your money. Because with the collective bargaining agreement and 50% of basketball-related income, 100% being split 50-50, with 9-figure salaries being doled out, with the modern day athlete being paid generational money. No, we don't have to harken back to the days when George Mikan and Lou Alcindor and Wilt Chamberlain were playing. We understand the NBA today is not what it was back then. Nobody's trying to be archaic here. But from the 90s to the 2000s and beyond, there's a boatload of money that cats have been paid. And you see, I mean, at least back in the day, cats were off due to injury. You're watching guys that are taking days off of knee rest. You know, we live in the world of anti-aging. We see saunas, red light saunas. We see cold plunges. You understand that can contribute to cutting down inflammation and activate that brown fat in your body and contribute to recovery issues. We see cats with red light beds, hyperbaric chambers. I would know, I've used them. Why you think I'm looking so healthy? And I'm here to tell you something right now. I ain't no damn professional athlete. I just want to live better. I want to elevate and improve my quality of life. What's their excuses? You got cats getting paid $200, $300 million. $300 million.
Think switching to T-Mobile's a whole complicated thing? Nah, it's easy.
For a limited time, switch to T-Mobile's better value plan. You can save over $1,000 a year versus Verizon and AT&T. Save on streaming, satellite, and more benefits that they leave out.
It's better over here.
And you taking days off. Healthy scratches. Healthy scratches. We're not talking about LeBron James here. The man's 41 in his 23rd season. Nah, we ain't doing that here. But most of these other cats, what? I haven't uttered a single criticism of J.J. Redick or Rob Pelinka in the last year and a half. Damn, fellas, all 5 starters, Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves, Brian Windhorst comes on the show talking about how, you know, he's recovering. Well, hell, he played the other night. What the hell were you doing when you were missing all of those games? Watching General Hospital? Run Young and the Restless? What's up? What the hell is going on? I don't understand this.
Come on.
We had a situation for the Utah Jazz. It was the other night against Miami. And what happened is that they sat some cats down. Okay? That's what they did. They sat some cats down, all right? And I want y'all to read, this lead to y'all, written by Chris Mannix, who does a great job, by the way, Sports Illustrated, covering the NBA. I want y'all to hear this lead. This is what good writing. Think about this. Okay? Let me read this to you following Monday night's game. The Utah Jazz beat the Miami Heat. Here was Chris Mannix's lead in Sports Illustrated. On Monday night, the Utah Jazz suffered a setback in Miami. They won. That was his lead. They suffered a setback because they won. Because the objective is not to lead. It's to throw games. What the hell is going on here? They acquired Jaren Jackson Jr., sat him. You had Laura Markkanen late in the game, and you pulled them. Washington Wizards, you recently acquired Trae Young and Anthony Davis, but are rushing neither of them to get on the court and play. I know we've got some good players. I just brought up this cat at Kansas. And I got brain locked for the moment I forget his name. He's projected to be the #1 pick in the draft potentially. And the brothers missed a few games. And what Darren Peterson, I'm sorry. Listen, I seen him play once or twice. The brother got mad skills. He can ball. He's supposed to be the number 1 overall pick. They got him missing, over 11 games? And what we hearing? Flu-like symptoms. Cramps. I could say what's on my mind when I heard that word, but I'm not going to go there. I don't want to offend nobody. Cramps. What the hell is going on? I mean, this is not good. And something has to be said about it. You got Utah. Thank God for Cooper Flagg, because we know they ain't really trying to win in Dallas, but they got that brother putting on a show. Thank God for him. One of the voices I respect a lot. He's my colleague for many, many years. We used to work on an NBA shoot-around together before it became named NBA Countdown. He does an outstanding job calling the games with Mike Breen and Richard Jefferson, my man Tim Legler. He was recently on Sirius XM radio. I think it was NBA radio, and he was talking. I'm sorry, the Bill Simmons podcast. He was on Bill Simmons' podcast. I apologize for that. And he was talking about the NBA and the product that's been put out on the floor. I want y'all to pay rapt attention to Tim Legler, because very few people on the planet know more basketball than this brother. I'm here to tell you. And for him to call games, to watch games, to see these guys up close and personal, sitting courtside, literally licensed to call the games. Please listen to Tim Legler talk about the product he's witnessing on the basketball court in today's game.
When you're cooking up a spread, you can't forget the GOAT.
The perfect blend of flavor with the right amount of heat.
Listen to this.
I've also seen a tremendous fluctuation. The number of nights that I've seen teams either in person when I've sat courtside calling a game, sitting at home on League Pass watching the game, the fluctuation in effort. There are nights when you watch teams and you can't believe how flat they are. You know, and I've seen more of that this year than any other time, which means on any given night, anybody is capable of beating anybody. It may sound like you think that's a cliche because it's the NBA, but normally that's not the case. If you have teams that are contenders, that are teams that are really playing for something later in the year, we all know that, and you get a team that is not, or a team that's got a bunch of young dudes, or a team that's clearly not really that concerned about winning games because they're trying to think about the future, and you get that team on your home floor mid-season in the dog days, you're supposed to beat that team down. And I've seen more nights now where those teams have been flat, or one team, even a matchup where two really good teams are about to play, and you're super excited about the game. And for whatever reason, one of them just comes out and they're so flat, it's almost borderline disinterested. And it leads to these crazy scores, these really weird results. Some of the blowouts we've seen from bad teams beating down good teams.
Right.
Not just winning like buzzer beaters, oh, wow, they played hard. They thought they were in the game and they eventually won it. No, they beat teams by 25 and 30 points on their home floor.
You see what I'm saying? How is a fan supposed to feel when they hear something like that? You don't see that in the NFL. Although it's not as taxing on the body, you don't even see that in Major League Baseball. They got a license to literally sit out there sucking on pumpkin seeds. But it's rare that you're able to look at a baseball player and say, you know what, they're not really interested in doing their job.
Bless you.
I guess.
Well, if you want to know what happened, is that you guys show alienated. He made a bet that Mace would show up, and I made a bet that Mace wouldn't show up. And it's not even more to the story.
5,000 though, Larry?
I don't want to say nothing.
You gonna say $50?
Nah, I don't know how we got to 5,000. I think he said 5,000.
I said that's how confident I was. I said 5,000.
And I don't want to say nothing. Let me just be quiet. I'll get in trouble later.
Then the nigga said bet. And I was like, why would you take that bet?
Yeah,
and then I looked in the studio and everybody was in there with their head down. Nick was in there like, yo, I want in. I was on the bet, but shout out to Bethel. You ain't even have to do nothing. Got $100 for you when I see you.
Man said he was coming, pause.
Who?
He said he was coming.
Who, Mace?
Yeah.
Who'd you speak to?
I'm saying that day. He's like,
that day he said that.
He told me. I mean, so.
He said he coming a lot of places.
I don't know if it was a Harlem Hustle thing going on. I know you wouldn't do that.
That's word of mouth.
Because I thought about it. I said, you know what? Maybe these niggas Harlem Hustle me. You ever say he back you? Then I thought, nah, my nigga Killer wouldn't do that to me.
That's worth everything I love.
I know you wouldn't do that. But listen, that's a good title for a movie, Harlem Hustle. I'm a copy.
But I know Bethel. And that's my brother. I already.
He learned today.
I learned
today.
Bethel wouldn't come to our show if he wasn't getting paid.
I mean,
that's just that. But yeah, man, that's what happened, man. Sinners upset before we get into anything that James Harden is down with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I said that he's probably the best guard in the East. All you New York fans got an attack now. It's okay.
Jalen Brunson is the best guard, hands down.
Okay, no problem. We'll see.
You know, he was just on the Nets. You wasn't screaming no guard shit then.
Jalen Brunson, was he on the Nets when he was here?
Was Jalen Brunson on the Knicks?
On the Knicks when?
Yes.
At the same time, James Harden.
Yes.
Okay, I think I want to bet that. You could be right. Let's bet 5. Let's make it. Let's ring it up.
Hold me down.
Yeah.
He said 1 minute.
Yeah, 1 minute.
In the meantime, did you enjoy your birthday, man? How was your birthday, man?
It was good, man. But every day is my birthday, man. You know what I'm saying? Every day is a holiday. Every day is a vacation, man. I've just been blessed to live the life that I've lived. So very appreciative. Thanks for all the birthday shots. Everybody's showing love. I really, really appreciate it. Maybe when it gets warm, for all the birthday wishes. But it's just another day trying to get another dollar. It fell on a weekday. It's 5 degrees in New York. Wasn't nothing really to do. It actually was cold in Miami, too. I was going to go to Miami, but Miami was in the 30s. So we'll do something else another date. But thank you guys for the birthday wishes. It was cool.
I want to ask you a question. I see a lot of things that's going on the internet, and I want to ask your opinion. Do you think this podcast world that we in, do you think it's the gossip section? How you feel about that?
The gossip section of the world, you mean?
No, the podcast, being that the podcast world is being called like the gossip section.
What you mean, just of the podcast section of what? Society?
No, all right, I'm going to just say black people, us niggas, are in the podcast world. Like, you know, other rappers or whatever the case may be, just people that was in the streets. But they saying like, it's turning into like a gossip section.
It's gossip from the beginning. The whole podcast shit is gossip. It don't matter if it's black. It don't matter if it's Italian. Unless you're talking, it don't matter what it is. It's gossip. The whole shit is gossip. It's about what you gossiping about. If it's something positive, something negative, and then it's what you really consider gossiping. Some people, like for instance, okay, let me change that, rephrase that rather. It's a lot of gossip, but then it's also stuff to get information out there as well. It's all how you word the word gossip. But a lot of people are seeing that they could get money from it, and they're leveraging that to just say whatever they can say. I see podcasters talk about, you know, not us, I'm just saying people, certain podcasters, they talk about 4 niggas, the same 4 niggas, and it's like a circle, and they just keep talking about the same 4, 5, 6 niggas, and it's redundant. Whatever that person is doing, they talk about what they did this week. So they do something next week, they talk about what that person did the next week. And they making a living off of talking about the same 4, 5, 6 people. And if they could do that, then they could do that. But at the end of the day, they figured out a way to get to the money because that's working for them. I'd always used to sit there before I used to podcast and do sports and do this show with you and anything else that I'm doing in this realm and be like, yo, why is this nigga just keep talking about this nigga all day? Like, I'm talking about 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And I didn't understand it because I didn't really care about doing a podcast or having a sports show or anything at this time. This is before I had a show. And I was like, these niggas just be in the house talking about niggas all day. But then I found out that they're making money talking about niggas. And if you could sit in your house and talk about niggas, just niggas' opinion, my personal opinion, and then don't even live around where niggas live at, you could be in Canada talking shit about nigga, and then you ain't gonna see him or bump into him, and then you get a check every month from YouTube or whatever else you're getting a check from. It's easy come up for them. They ain't gotta get up and go to work. They ain't gotta get up and listen to a boss tell them some shit that they think they don't have to do. They don't have to go to work in 5-degree weather. I get up and talk about these few niggas and catch a check for 4, 5, 6,000 a month, cover their bills, have a few extra dollars. Oh no, these are all numbers I'm making up. But if they could cover their bills, have money every month, and then even put money away, that's how they live it.
You've been doing shout out to It Is What It Is. You've been doing that show for how long? How many seasons, y'all? What season y'all on?
It's like 8 seasons. This the 8th season, but like 2 years, 2.5. We're actually approaching 3 years, like 2.5 years.
Hey boss, just arrived on site. Gearing up now.
Need your team to clock in on site? With Connect Team's GPS clock-ins, you'll avoid overpayment and stop guessing who's where. And come payroll time, one click and boom, you're done. Zero mistakes. You'll also ditch paperwork for digital forms your crew actually fills out on their phone. Get schedules out in minutes with all the job details so everyone knows what they're doing. Important site update? Send it in seconds and know it's seen, no chasing or follow-ups. Plus, there's even a personal and group chat to easily reach anyone. It's everything your construction crew needs in one app. Start your free trial now at connectteam.com.
Doing the whole sports thing, what caught you off guard the most? Because it's not music, and it's totally different feel, like sports. What caught you off guard since getting in that field?
Nothing really caught me off guard. What I'm more surprised is that how sensitive athletes are. Like for instance, when somebody has a bad game, and we talk about them having a bad game, they get mad at us for talking about them having a bad game. And then when they have a good game and we say that they have a good game, they be like, oh, don't act like we nice now. And it's like, bro, I don't get that. It's kind of like you as well. Yo, you don't never talk about us. You never talk about the Knicks. You never do this. Bro, I'm just telling you, it gets crazy. So let me, go like this, P, right? I ain't talking about sitting in the Knicks no more. Somebody scored 4 points. Basketball, we'll keep it at basketball. Somebody scored 4 points. And we like, damn, and he averaged 20. He scored 4 points 4 nights in a row. Now, what's up with the nigga? Yo, this nigga, he's averaging a single. Fuck is he doing? Yo, why y'all keep mentioning my name? Yo, we do a sports show, nigga. We're saying you went from averaging 23 points to averaging 3.9 the last week. Then in 2 weeks, he have a 40-point game or have a 30-point game. And we'll be like, oh, that nigga got his shit back together. He had 40, he had 30. Oh, now niggas sucking me. Oh, now niggas want to be down, yo. Oh, now niggas see what's up with me. No, bro. We just seen you have 3 points, 2 points, 4 points, and now you have 40 points and 30 points and 35 points, and we're observing what's going on. I'm not here to be your friend day to day. I'm here to have a job to do. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not being facetious or anything else like that. But the sense, if anything caught me off guard, is the sensitivity of some of the athletes. Not all of them, just some of them. And then they act like they caught the vapors, like we caught the vapors. For the young people that don't know what the vapor is, basically saying we feel like shit because they came back and scored 30 points after they had 2 points. I don't care if you had 90 points. I'm going to say if you had 2 points or if you had 90 points. So shit like that, that's the biggest thing, how sensitive some of them are. And then the second thing with athletes is they're sensitive as well when their personal life is in the public. And then it's other syndications, not necessarily podcasts. It could be blog sites, the news, whatever. And they say the same thing. And then when we report it, niggas be like, why niggas all up in my personal business? Yo, bro, your business is on CBS. Your business is on the Shade Room. Your business is everywhere. So we just not supposed to say nothing. I'm more shocked about shit like that, to be totally honest with you. So if anything caught me off guard, maybe that, but I ain't really surprised by too much.
But on that note, can you kind of understand why some niggas would get upset? Because that's their art. I tell you all the time, like, yo, when you criticize somebody's art, whatever they do, they might get a little sensitive about it. You know what I mean? It's like telling a nigga, like, yo, nigga, that song is whack, nigga. Like,
I've been told.
Yeah, but it's not the best feeling.
Point being is once you sign up to be a public figure, that's what you sign up to be, a public figure. Once you're in the public eye, you could be criticized or you could be praised. This is what you sign up for. Now, I can understand if you're saying that you're a lawyer or you have a 9-to-5 job or you're not in front of the camera or you don't want to be seen, then, and somebody's criticizing what you're doing, you're like, yo, I don't even want to be seen. I'm not a public figure. But if you're a public figure, that's what you're here to do and not here to do. Everything is entertainment, right? Mm-hmm. Sports is entertainment. Acting is entertainment. Pardon me. Music is entertainment. It's all entertainment, right? So let me ask you this, right? And this is kind of older too. You heard of Siskel and Ebert?
Yeah.
They used to judge the movies.
Yeah.
What if they tell you your shit is whack? They suckers. They made a living off of it. So they judging movies, they're sucker. It's mad niggas that go in restaurants, they food critics. They go in there, yo, this restaurant wasn't that good. The service was bad. Oh, this place is delicious. It tastes good. They suckers too.
I see what you're saying now. But it's the way you say it.
Yeah. Well,
not you. I'm just talking about,
no,
like,
I say it harsh too, because I want you to feel it sugar-coated a little bit. My presentations are not good at all whatsoever. So I get
that ain't nothing you want to work on?
Nah. I'm good, man.
So you don't care if you piss niggas off? Like,
I'm not meaning to piss nobody off. That's the whole thing. It's just my mannerism, and I have a deep voice. I think that people would think that I'm talking about them, but I'm not. I'm just throwing a little spice on what I saw. Pause. If I see that you had a bad game, and that's another thing. We're in extent, like for instance, right? I'll give you an example. When you go to a barbershop in the hood in Washington Heights, right? Sometimes they like our show, sometimes they be mad at our show. Yo, what the fuck, Cam? Why Cam ain't ask Stephen A. Smith where the bitches was at? Yo, why Cam ain't ask Stephen A. Smith if he smoke motherfucking weed? But what's up with the nigga? He getting commercial, Bobby. Tell the nigga he's getting commercial, right or wrong.
Yeah.
Am I taking offense to it? No, because they're watching the show and that's what they prefer to see. But I'm not taking offense to it because they mad I didn't ask Stephen A. Smith questions they ain't like or other shows they have opinions on. That's their right. I'm in the public eye. I'm in their barbershop and they're watching it and they don't have the right to say nothing.
No, but that's kind of different. Say like if somebody was like, yo, Cam is a bad interviewer. Then you would probably notice that and be like, well, you know what? I don't like that shit. Like, fuck you. And then you would probably go on like a little rant, right?
No, if that's it depends on who says it. I don't really, like Michael Irvin made a good point. It don't make sense to argue down. You down here, what am I arguing now for? If I'm arguing up, then yeah, it depends on who says it back down.
Yeah, because you did it today, yesterday. You was
whatever.
arguing with a nigga. I ain't even saying his name.
But that nigga said something about inviting me to the Frank stand. So that wasn't about his opinion. It was about, that was mad disrespectful, inviting me to the Frank stand, pause. So it wasn't about his opinion. It was more about that. So that it wasn't about what he said about me. I'm like, yo, what's all that about? So that wasn't the argument about his opinion. It was more about like, yo, my nigga.
As a director of finance, I'm managing 15 and 20 contracts a month. With Acrobat AI Assistant, I can summarize long contracts and identify key terms instantly. AI Assistant helps me compare 2 different versions of the same document for key changes. It makes me feel very confident that nothing's missing and everything's accurate. With AI Assistant, we're able to focus on what really matters, growing our business and finding new ways to reach soccer fans.
Take what you do best and create a website that's worthy of it. With AI website creation from Wix, every click is an opportunity to shape your brand, fine-tune your design, generate content in seconds, and showcase what you love so others will love it too. It's your business, your website. You do it yourself on Wix.
Who does that? And then I'll say something about it. Whatever. More on the story. It wasn't about him saying whatever he said. It was more about him saying some Frankster shit. So that was the argument for me. And it was internet shit.
You started a label called the UN. This is a 2-part question. How many artists did you have signed to that label?
I don't remember. I know Vado was there. I didn't really have, see, the thing about it with me is I don't have artists signed to me until I go get distribution, get a deal. So I remember I had Bird Lady. She was working with me. And I had Vado. And Vado was the only one from that situation that I remember that actually got a deal with Interscope. So I don't sign nobody until I have distribution for them. Like, you know, you'll hear JR and Hellrell tell you, we was never signed to Cam. They're right, they was never signed to me. That's why it be bugging me out when niggas be like, yo, Cam jerk niggas and Cam ain't do it. Niggas wasn't never signed to me to jerk niggas. Nobody. Only person that was ever signed to me really is Jewels. Outside of that, when niggas be like, yo, Cam ain't do this or Cam ain't do that, how the fuck I got over on you, you never was signed to me, nigga. Period. So unless I got distribution with you, I don't even want to do a deal with you because I don't want to hold your life up if you could go get another deal. But as far as the UN was concerned, Vado's the only one that I did a major deal with.
And the distribution was what?
Interscope.
Interscope. Part 2 of the comedy show. Niggas is waiting on that. You got a date or anything?
Word.
Niggas is fucking with that.
Nah, I don't. I'm in the middle of doing the deal. Shout out to my partners, Outback, Revolt. We're working on doing something probably, I don't want to say every week, maybe every other week like Def Jam Comedy used to do, but we're going to have it on Revolt, hopefully, getting everything done. We're working on the paperwork now, but it won't just be a part 2. It'll be something that happens at least minimum once a month, if not 2-3 times a month. So shout out to Outback Presents, shout out to Johnny Shipe, shout out to Revolt. In the middle of working that out so that it'll be concurrent, not just once in a while thing. So that's why it's probably taking a little minute. I know niggas is impatient. They want shit when they want to get it. But once we get this done, it's going to be repetitive to where it's every week or every month. I don't want to tell y'all either, but it's minimum every month. That's on my March latest.
Whoa.
What's that?
I just built a budgeting app in Base 44.
Guys, Nina just built a...
Impossible. Nina can't code. Interesting. Generate reports.
Now.
Nice. 57, we can all do it now. Just listen.
Is amazing. that I don't want to do. Like, it's never fun to have to go do something for money and your heart's not really in it. That's America, though. Everybody's not privileged enough to wake up and do what they love to do every day. But I believe Mace is, and I am as well. So for us to get up and talk about sports every day, because we watch sports anyway, and was able to make a dope show like it is what it is, I think that's great. You know, I asked Mace to do music. He don't want to do it. Sometimes he do. I ain't pressing it. I fuck with him the other day. I called Mace the other day like, it's that 3-month harass you time about the music. It's been 3 months. I'm like, yeah, man, you know what time it is. I said, all right, cool. He'll tell me in a nice way. And I'll be like, all right, you just told me to kiss your ass in a nice way. But I'm cool with just being my nigga murder friend. And if we didn't do no business, for us to be friends again is super duper cool. But whenever he's ready to do music, if he wants to, cool. If he don't, I don't give a fuck. We fucking haven't spoke for over 10 years and we've been cool the last 5 years. That's more important to me than any business.
But you know, it's crazy. Speaking of the music, I don't know if y'all ever plan on revisiting this situation, but Murder, you and Jadakiss was going like do a tour, do some music together. Y'all ever talk about that? Like on the phone, just be like, "Yo, fuck around and do that, pick that shit up again." Because people was, you know, kind of waiting on that too.
I don't know. To answer your question, no, we haven't been talking about it, but you got to realize that Jadakiss is doing great with his podcast as well.
Yeah.
And when niggas start figuring out, oh shit, I could just go do this and get this and still be myself, because Jada's still himself on his show. He's not like he got to be somebody different. I love their show, by the way. Sometimes nigga don't want to get up and go state to state to state every fucking night and deal with a crowd and deal with promoters. Don't touch them. It's not what's going on. I don't know if that's way that. And that's the one. You know, it's the money. But if you rap,
Well, yeah.
in the morning, comfortable. So definitely going to tour. I know being from my neighborhood, and she's doing all these different movies and killing the roles and all that shit. And then Sin calls me, well, who got shot? I'm like, who do I need to be cool with? Yo, you missed it, boy. It was crazy. Niggas got shot. We gonna put
I
a
got
big.
good instincts. I knew this was going somewhere. I knew it.
Good.
I
I'm glad you
knew
know.
it.
Yo, I'm glad you know. Yo, you gonna bring the truck? We gonna do big truck series on Lennox. Yeah, listen, man. Let me know when I'm coming with Tiana. When Tiana come, we'll do big truck series together.
Rihanna be in the seafood spot.
Yeah.
Harlem all the time. She loves it.
Yeah, me too.
Shout out to ASAP and Rihanna,
Yeah,
man. They show love to the Harlem community. As I said, give me the truck.
The whole thing about it is they
No, I didn't say you didn't be there.
Go to street more than you probably.
I think
I don't really know the new. I don't know. You see Ice Cube son. I do my as you see.
For 5 times more engagement and views. Oh, the algorithms love streams and engagement, rewarding you with even more views. While you, sure that works, upload and stream from Restream.
In this life of masculinity, when do you know to ask for help?
I think that's the hardest thing, especially when you're trained and it's deeply embedded in your brain to fight through circumstance. That emotion of saying, I'm not okay as a man, as a father, as a leader of your house, husband, boyfriend, business owner, brother, son, those things do not happen naturally in this world where we are already stereotyped of what a man should be. Nowadays they call it being emotionally intelligent. And even when you are emotionally intelligent, the next phase is how do I pose the question to others? How do I tell Peggy that today ain't the right day for me? I need some time.
BetterHelp gave me the opportunity to look in the rearview mirror, not go backwards.
Release was coming out. I forget what record store was up there. We decided to just ride on top of the tour bus to the record store up there and just throw money out to the people and all that. The cop, we never even made it in the record store. The cop said we was exciting a riot doing that shit. We ended up running from police that day.
I think that day.
Maybe. When we rode the tour bus up to
Built the city, I think.
Whatever it was, I forget what it was, but I remember us not even going in the store, and the cops was like, "Stop throwing money." And we went, he's like, "You're exciting." We ended up jumping off the tour bus around the corner, running from police and hopping the gate. Trying to lock us up for exciting a riot at our own album release. That's what that footage is.
I was on the phone with you. I might ask you a good question. I think you was out there. What's like what's it like being in the studio?
It was cool. I never. When it came to beats, Kanye kind of gave me beats. And I would that I like. But when I was with Kanye in the studio, rap. I think it's a song that he got, I think 30 days, 30 months. So they're gonna like. I know